Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. So we've all seen the headlines, right? The ones about massive global environmental crises, pollution, resource waste, climate change. Honestly, it can feel completely overwhelming. It's like these problems are just way too big for any one person to actually tackle. But today, we're totally flipping the script. We're going to look at how the absolute most effective solutions to these monumental global challenges are actually starting incredibly small. Everyday citizens are out there tackling these crises right in their own neighborhoods, proving that, hey, you really don't need to be some global policymaker to be a local hero. Which brings us to a pretty massive question. Can one single neighborhood actually save the world? I know, it sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, right? Almost impossible. But do me a favor and hold on to that thought as we go through today's material. Because by the end of this explainer, you're going to see how the mathematical answer to that question is actually a resounding yes. And honestly, it completely shifts us from being just passive observers into active participants.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, Meet Your Local Heroes. So, to really understand how a neighborhood can pull off saving the world, we first need to talk about LEAs. That stands for Localized Environmental Actions. Essentially, these are citizen-led efforts rooted in specific communities to address environmental problems that directly impact them. Notice a couple of key words in there: citizen-led and rooted. We are not talking about massive government mandates here or huge international treaties. No, we're talking about ordinary people, volunteers, small groups who literally just look out their window, see a problem that is deeply rooted in their specific town or city, and decide to step up and fix it themselves. And these locally rooted actions, they are incredibly powerful, basically for three foundational reasons. First up, they tackle everyday problems. We're talking about the issues you actually see and feel on your morning walk or your daily commute. Second, they build community. Working alongside a neighbor to fix a shared problem, that weaves a much stronger social fabric. And third, and this is crucial, these small actions add up to a massive global impact. The real power isn't just in the size of one single LEA. The magic happens when you multiply millions of them together.
Let's move on and see how this builds. Section 2, Types of Local Action. All right, now that we know what LEAs actually are, let's open up the toolkit a bit. A really classic primary example of this out in the real world is the community garden. This is where neighbors take local concerns, things like food security or maybe just urban blight, and transform them into real, tangible improvements. It's taking a neglected, empty dirt lot and turning it into a thriving, green hub of activity. It is a highly visible and honestly just an incredibly rewarding type of action.
Another super powerful tool is small-scale renewable energy. Think about installing solar panels on local buildings. Maybe it's a community center where everyone pools their funds, or a neighborhood cooperative setting up a shared microgrid. By doing this, residents are transitioning from simply consuming energy to actually becoming active stewards of their surroundings and their local resources. It's a real game changer.
And rounding out our toolkit examples, we have local conservation efforts. This one is all about protecting the immediate environment that we interact with every single day. Whether that's organizing a weekend river cleanup crew or a group actively protecting a specific local habitat, these conservation efforts make sure that the natural world directly outside our front doors stays vibrant and healthy.
Now for the nuts and bolts. Section 3, Building Your Action Plan.
Look, seeing all those examples is super inspiring, for sure. But inspiration needs a framework. Getting organized doesn't just happen by magic, right? It almost always starts with step 1, identify a local problem. Maybe it's a littered park or a dangerous intersection that desperately needs some trees. That naturally leads to step 2, form a stakeholder group. Basically, get the interested people together in a room to hash out ideas. Then you move to step 3, create an action plan, which lays out exactly what needs to be done and who is going to do it. And finally, the best part, step 4, work together to implement. You literally take the plan off the paper and you put it into the dirt.
But wait, there is a secret ingredient to making that 4-step battle plan actually succeed, and that is community engagement. True success requires empowering individual agency. You have to ensure everyone's voice is heard, from the kids who actually play in that park to the grandparents who have lived on that block for decades. Because true environmental justice, it demands fairness. When people are involved right from the very beginning, that inclusion breeds absolute commitment.
And this brilliantly illustrates our final point. Section 4, Local Action, Global Impact.
Let's zoom out from the micro-community level to the macro-global scale for a second.
because there is some serious academic weight behind this whole philosophy. As the experts put it, and I'll quote this directly, "No one fully understands how, or even if, sustainable development can be achieved. However, there is a growing consensus that it must be accomplished at the local level if it is ever to be achieved on a global basis." Think about that. Global sustainability mathematically and fundamentally relies on these micro-actions. You literally cannot have a healthy planet without healthy, active, engaged local communities taking the lead.
So, when we connect all these dots, what we create is a massive wave of change. We start with collective local initiatives, just everyday people organizing and making action plans. Those initiatives lead directly to tangible environmental improvements, like a clean river or a solar-powered school. And when you multiply those tangible improvements by thousands of communities all across the map, it results in a perceptible global impact. All those small, localized lights across the globe join together to create a massive, incredibly powerful wave of planetary change.
Which brings us right back to where we started. We asked if one neighborhood could save the world. Well, we've seen that the answer is yes, but, and this is a big but, only if that neighborhood actually acts. You've seen the power of community, you've seen the framework for an action plan, and the absolute necessity of your individual agency. So the only question left for us today is, what will your localized environmental action be? Seriously, look out your window, find your local problem, gather your neighbors, and start building your action plan today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I absolutely cannot wait to see what you build.